Alright, today I'm going to continue developing this concept of courage. Yesterday I spent half an hour looking and talking about courage, and before I will say something new, let me just summarize everything which I said last time. So I started from introducing the concept and invited you to a speaking club to participate in a conversation about courage, which is going to take place on Sunday at 4 p.m. Then I read the poem by William Ernest Henley, the poem Invictus. After that I said how much time it took me to focus my attention on this concept. So I basically was talking about how I was thinking about this concept on Monday, making questions and trying to put my thoughts together. Then I said that I watched a few lectures, one by Gregory Sadler, another by Wes Cecil, and I found some interesting ideas in Aristotle. So I started reading, next day I started reading Aristotelian book Nicomachean Ethics, and in this book I found an amazing explanation of what is courage and how to develop it. So I started talking about some courageous acts, which, well, I discussed like this kind of activity when you talk to the camera in public. Is it courageous? And I said that for me it's no longer courageous because I don't feel any fear. And basically, courageous act is an act when you have fear, but you still can control your fear and you do something which you are afraid to do. So basically I told about this exercise, about like new attempt to fight my fear by going on the internet and public chats, English-speaking chats, and just jumping right into the conversation and trying to say something. Then I discussed these writings which I did on Tuesday. Basically, I was writing kind of scenario for the speaking club. I said how I did that. Then I said about the research, which was like this article which I read on the internet, Implicit Theories of Courage, and I said it's kind of, no, I don't trust people when it comes to understanding such concepts, and I don't think that it makes sense to really figure out what is courage just by asking people and trying to summarize their answers, rank them. It makes very little sense. But yet, it was an interesting study. I read it, half of it. What was done after that? And then I talked about my experience since, as I said, when I started thinking about courage more deeply and just trying to focus my attention on it, I started noticing courage everywhere. So wherever I go, like, it's right in front of my eyes all the time. And it's so funny. Well, basically it was about my experience also. So I started thinking about my past, and I found many examples of courageous behavior, cowardly behavior, and all sorts of mixture of these. And the last thing which I discussed was my behavior, basically what I did when I was 4 years old, where I showed courage and broke my leg just jumping from the high ladder. So, and it took me like 30 minutes to talk about all of this, and now I summarize it in a few minutes, and that's cool. Now I have 25 minutes to develop these ideas. So basically today I want to talk about Aristotelian understanding of courage and about his book Nicomachean Ethics. In this book he basically emphasizes that we have two vices which stem out of, one is when you have too much confidence, and another when you have too much fear. So if, like, in courage is a kind of balance between confidence and fear. So if you, for example, have too much confidence, you are foolhardy. Since you don't fear anything, if you are fearless, it's actually not courageous. You basically, you know, it's a kind of pathology. So you may do some stupid things which will lead to all sorts of troubles. And if you don't have enough confidence, if you have a lot of fear, and the fear governs your behavior, then it's you're a coward. Coward. Hard word, hard to pronounce. Just learned quite a few days ago. I mean, I knew the word, but I never used this. It's so fascinating when, you know, you study language and you know many words, but you don't use them in your active vocabulary. And it seems that you know it perfectly, but then when you need to say it, you feel kind of confusion or awkwardness just because you never said it before, and then it's like pronunciation is uncertain. Today I trained myself to pronounce this word, coward. I said it maybe 10 times, yeah, but still I have some kind of, you know, uncertainty when I use it. Anyway, so let's go further. Fear, if there's lots of fear, no, you're not courageous, because fear just holds you back whenever you want to do something that is considered courageous. And if there's lots of confidence, if you are not afraid of anything, it's also not courage. It's foolhardy. And one of the most funniest things which I found in Aristotle was his explanation, like, no, courage is a virtue, and it's really hard to acquire this virtue, to develop it, to gain courage. And for many people, like, most of them are either on one side or another. So most of people are cowards or foolhardy. Foolhardy it's rarer than cowardice, but on average, like most people, I don't know, it seems that it's uncertain, I understand that, but Aristotelian points, like this funniest fact is that if you're a coward, you will not admit that you're a coward. That's the problem. And that's why all people, like most of them, are cowards, because they are not able to admit that. Because to learn to become courageous, it requires actions. And if you think that you are already courageous, you basically, you don't understand yourself. In many situations when courage actually required, you won't be able to act out of place of courage. You'll act out of place of fear, or maybe something else. I don't know. But the point is, if you are a coward, your actions, whatever you do, you will consider it as normal, and you wouldn't say that like you are a coward. You wouldn't admit that. And if you meet a courageous person, then you will say that he is a foolhardy, because in order to save self-respect, you won't admit that this person is a courageous. You will say, oh, it's just foolhardy. And from the other side, it's almost the same. If you're a foolhardy, everybody is coward. So if you meet a courageous person and he acts out of courage, you will not admit that. You will say something like, oh, it's like he is just a coward. And that's so funny. So if you're courageous, and again, basically, according to Aristotle, it's almost unattainable virtue. So to become courageous, to act out of courage, it requires like years of practice. So if you put your mind into the right frame and think about courage and really study it and study yourself, trying to understand how to behave, or maybe study some martial arts or some practice which help you to gain courage, still it requires many years. You can't just become courageous in one moment or in a few moments, just after reading something or after just doing one sort of activity. It takes time. And the problem is that all people, like, they are either on one or on the other side. And if you practice courage, if you really achieve this virtue, if you really become courageous, all cowards will call you foolhardy, and all foolhardy will call you a coward. So it's like there's no and since like the majority of people are on both these sides, like to be courageous, it's not only you are willingly endure pain and danger, it's like you are misinterpreted by people all the time and misrepresented by them. That's so fascinating. Like when I was reading it, I was almost burst out of like not burst. Okay, I was laugh out loud. I mean, I was alone in my room, and it was so funny that I had laughed. Yeah, it was. I mean, usually when you read books, even if it's something funny, you don't laugh. You just you have some emotion, but it never like laugh seems to be kind of emotion which we may which we may exhibit. Okay, I don't know, express. Yeah, which we usually express when we are with other people, and that's so interesting. And I guess it's kind of new thought. It just came to my mind right now. I thought about it before, but now it seems kind of new idea. So you actually don't laugh when you are alone, even if you watch some comedy. Or maybe it's just my experience, but in my case, it's very rare when I catch myself laughing when there are no people, even though there's something funny. Yeah, it's kind of social emotion. And courage is also kind of social emotion, because most of the time people show courage when they are exposed to external, to some environment. When you are alone, you probably don't care too much about your self-image, like your whatever. So when you're alone, it's like courage. Actually, I can't explain. Okay, let's not go into that. Today, I want to continue talking about my personal research, and I'd like to recommend you think about courage on your own, since whatever I say, whatever I try to explain, it's first of all it's vague. I understand it. I understand that if I just go further and study it more, I'll find something else, and whatever I said before, whatever I say now, will be completely irrelevant. On Tuesday, when I read Aristotle, when I was thinking about courage for the entire day, I thought that I achieved kind of, clear understanding of what it is. And when I wrote this paper, 8 pages of, kind of scenario where we just talked about courage with, I talked in my mind using the members of my club as, as puppets for expressing my ideas. Anyway, so when I was doing that, what did I want to say? That's strange. The environment changed. There are lots of people around, and I started thinking differently. So when I was doing that, when I was thinking about courage, I thought I'm an expert in that. Now, there's nothing more to study, and it was on Wednesday. And next day, on Tuesday or Thursday, I started studying more. I started thinking about it more, and I found new books. Quite accidentally, actually. I was preparing some quotes for the discussion, and I used books which I read before. Basically, I used Nietzschean books, The Dawn of the Day, and Human All Too Human, just to look up this concept, courage, and see whether or not there are some interesting paragraphs on courage. And I found there actually were. And one of the paragraphs was called Origins of Courage, or the origin of courage. And by using this word, the origin of courage, I typed it on the internet, and I discovered an article written 50 years ago, 1974. It was named towards deeper understanding of courage, or towards an understanding of courage, a deep analysis of conceptual definitions or something like that. I don't remember exactly the name of the article, but the point is that it was really interesting article, and in this article it was written by a psychologist, like behavior psychologist, and I discovered that in this article like new perspectives on courage, and it was so fascinating because like Aristotle, after reading Aristotle I thought I understand everything, but then I read this article and there were so many brilliant ideas, and our author tried to criticize all of them. Well, usually I don't read accidental articles which I find on the internet. I may read just an introduction or a few pages, but most of the time I just stop reading them after 1 or 2 pages. And this article I was kind of engaged, and I started reading it, and I got to the I read 50 pages yesterday, and I read 25 pages today. So I read 70 pages of this article, and the whole article is 150 pages. And yeah, it was, well, now I can, of course I may regurgitate everything what I read or try to do that, but I don't want to do that. It's like, it's not the point to just repeat everything what I read. I'm doing that chiefly because I want to focus my attention and understand it better. And what I recommend to do for you, if you want to understand it too, or if courage has value for you, and if you think that it's a kind of amazing thing, virtue, which you may develop and which you may invest your time into developing, you might just do the same, just thinking about something that has value for you and just talking about it. Because when you talk and record yourself, it's really so powerful. It helps you to understand way better any concepts. And of course, if you study language, it's also super powerful. Just use self-talk to understand better what you study, and use language, it's practice. So you don't need people to communicate using this language. You just need to talk to yourself, and talking to yourself helps you to understand better what you are studying and what what's really important for you. And it also helps to focus your this thing with attention control is just mind-boggling. So when you understand how it works, it's unbelievable. The whole point is just you focus on one thing. You choose something relatively important for you, and then you start thinking about it all the time. Well, not all the time, of course you need to do something, but when you don't need to do anything, you try to focus your attention, you try to, okay, what do I know about it? You make some questions, try to answer these questions, find some articles on the internet, some videos, just watching them, studying more, because almost every concept is infinite. So if you start studying something like courage, there's no end. It's an absolute abyss. So you may just go deeper and deeper, and you will never achieve the bottom. It's the same as language. When you study English, for example, you may think, oh, I just learn basic vocabulary and grammar, and if I know how to speak, if I may speak with strangers, with foreigners, with myself, if I may think, if I may read books or watch videos on YouTube, I already know the language. But in reality, you may go deeper and deeper, and the level which you may achieve, it's endless. So you may spend 50 years, and there still be something to learn about. And it's almost the same with all these concepts. Courage, just one example. You may take anything. You may take justice, freedom. You may take whatever, self-control, consciousness, just any science like math, and you may study it all the time. And this self-talk is so powerful in terms of focusing your attention, because if you just think, it doesn't help you to really focus your attention on the subject. Most of the time you're going to be distracted by different circumstances, and when you just talk about one thing, it helps you to focus your attention on the subject too much, and then you don't need to repeat the word just all the time. Courage, courage, courage. Oh, okay, what do I know about it? What is in my experience which helps me to understand better what it is? And again, it's I guess the worst thing is to find some kind of, to reach the point when you say, oh, now I understand everything about this thing and there's nothing more to learn. Actually, with this concept, courage, it catches my attention way stronger than other concepts. Probably because I never paid attention to this concept before. But it feels as if, since I started studying courage, I want to study it more. I want to spend maybe a couple of weeks, maybe a month, just going deeper, and then I'm probably want to study it, like, you know, from time to time, just reviewing my understanding, probably writing a book about it. Because yeah, it's also possible to write a book. What's the matter? Okay, how much time? Wow, it's just 20 minutes. I actually already got to the place. Let me just go around. Or I may just end video here. Yeah, what did I want to say about Aristotle? Yes, like foolhardy and a coward. Fear and confidence. So too much fear leads to cowardice, and too much confidence to foolhardy. On Wikipedia there are other forms of this contradiction between fear and confidence. So there may be like too much confidence and too much fear simultaneously, and also there may be like too little confidence and too little fear simultaneously, and it's like plus minus, minus plus and minus minus, and all these like have also their like empirical evidence that people some way behave like in this way. So it's like it's not a completely contradiction between fear and confidence, because sometimes you have both on the high level, and sometimes you have both on a low level. But anyway, courage. Yeah, now, well, since I need to talk about it, it seems that all my thoughts just vanished, and I described something, what I read from Aristotle. Then I talked about this book, towards understanding of courage. But what else? There was something else which I found quite interesting, and which I wanted to say. It seems like on one side it seems that when I thinking about it, I may think about it endlessly, and I may talk about courage endlessly, and I may talk about books which I read endlessly, but when you really start talking about it, it seems that all ideas and all thoughts disappear. Yeah, I guess there's a kind of social element in it, because I know that I need to publish it, and I try to maintain some kind of good, you know, good shape, whatever. I'm trying to be as clear as possible, and I try to focus my attention on the subject instead of just, you know, letting go and just thinking aloud without caring how somebody else is going to perceive me. I think it's still important, but I want to get rid of it whatsoever. I don't want to think in a way that most people will find admiring, or no, I want to be kind of authentic, and still it's very hard. For example, I do record my journals, video journals, where I talk to myself, but I don't publish them. And there, most of the time it's way more clear than what I have when I talk to the camera. Because when I talk to the camera, when I think that I'll publish it on YouTube, it immediately changes my mood, and it makes me like saying unnecessary things more often, and still I can't find kind of solution to this problem, because for me it's kind of problem, and I want to solve it. I want to just be as authentic as I can while recording videos and talking. But anyway, courage, yeah, I want to come back and say a few more words about it. So I want to describe actually how I proceeded from these questions, what kind of questions I asked to myself. Well, in Aristotle, one of the most important questions, of course, was just how to develop courage. And the way is so simple. You would find something that you want to do, but you are afraid of doing that. You find the minimum, like the minimum action which you may perform, like the minimum step which you may make, and then you just do a small action, and then you grow gradually by doing bigger and bigger actions, and eventually it seems that you may gain courage just by performing certain courageous acts. Alright, I think it makes no sense to continue, even though there are like 5 minutes. Yeah, 5 minutes more. I'll leave it as it is right here. No need to talk the whole 30 minutes. It's stupid. If I want to say something, I just say it and then stop. See you next time. Bye bye.